Hi everybody and welcome back to our 30 days of maternity leave budgeting and planning tips. So my name's Charlene Smith and I'm going to take you through the topic of additional maternity leave today. So you're in the right place. If you're based in the UK, this advice is relevant for the UK. Lots of stuff I talk about is relevant, doesn't matter where you live, and I'm sure you've got your own rules and regulations you need to check in on. Doesn't matter where you are. So you might be planning a baby thinking, oh my goodness, I've heard babies are expensive. I don't know what I need to worry about, what I don't need to worry about. So absolutely relevant to you. You might already be expecting, and if you are, congratulations. There's a lot to take in. There's a lot of, obviously, you're plenty of medical professionals who look after you, but no one kind of telling you all of that. I wish I knew that kind of stuff earlier, sorts of information. So absolutely relevant for you. Now, even if you're already on maternity, it's not too late. You might just need a refresher, might need to know where you stand in terms of additional maternity leave, especially if you're not quite sure, if you're happy to stay off work for longer than 6 months. Okay, so as I said, we'll talk about additional maternity leave today. Already talked about ordinary maternity leave in a previous video. So my name's Charlene Smith. I'm a mummy of 3, married. I'm an author, published my first book in 2021. I write a blog called The Mum's Guide to Money. And then most important thing that qualifies me to talk about money is that I'm an accountant. So I'm here to help you financially plan and prepare for maternity leave. So like I said, none of the medical stuff. It's all about the numbers. How can you get yourself through that time when your income is going to be really low, but your expenses are going to be quite high? How can you make the most of things? So as we always do, let's have a bit of a recap on maternity leave rules. So what is additional maternity leave? So maternity leave is actually legally protected. So it's a period of time you're away from work, and it runs from a maximum of 52 weeks. So you may be wrapping other leave around the start and the end. But the official maternity leave time period is 52 weeks. So you only need to be employed for 1 day to qualify for maternity leave. So very different than maternity pay, because it does have rules around qualifying for maternity pay. So maternity leave is separated into 2. So as if just understanding what maternity leave is one thing, but understanding it's split into 2. I know it confused me when I was learning about it. So ordinary maternity leave, we've already covered in another video. And then additional maternity leave is that second part of your 52 weeks away from work. So if you have only a short maternity leave, obviously it's not relevant for you. But if you are having longer than 6 months, then absolutely keep watching. So additional maternity leave, it's the second 26 weeks, like I said earlier, and it starts the day after ordinary maternity leave finishes. Now you might think, what's so important about this sort of stuff? It's actually really relevant around your right to return to the job that you left. So the most important difference is that with ordinary maternity leave, you've got the right to go back to the same job you left, exactly the same. Obviously you're not getting paid, but if you've missed any bonuses and that kind of thing, you're still eligible for those. If you come back at the end of additional maternity leave, your rights are slightly different. So if you come back at the end of additional maternity leave or during that period, then you don't have the right to return to that same job. So if you really love what you do and you're really concerned about whether or not your job will be protected, really consider if additional maternity leave is for you. You do, however, have the right to return to a similar job, similar pay, similar seniority. So if you're a manager, right to come back on a manager sort of terms and conditions, etc. They can't pay you any less favourably. So even if you go part-time, they can't, they can only sort of reduce your pay by your sort of reduced working days, but they can't sort of penalise you because you've had additional maternity leave. So what are the differences between the 2 periods? So ordinary, like I say, it's that first chunk of time during maternity leave. It starts on the very first day of maternity leave. And then additional, it's the day after ordinary maternity leave finishes. So it's that second 26 weeks. Your rights, so really important. So that first ordinary maternity leave, your rights are to return to that same job you left, walk out as though you haven't been anywhere. But the additional maternity leave, your rights are you come back to a similar job. So similar pay, similar seniority, and no less favourable in terms of other conditions like pensions, etc. So as with all this stuff, you've got to plan your maternity leave quite strategically, just to make sure that you don't miss out while you're away from work and don't miss out when you go back. So when you're planning your maternity leave, always remember to look at your annual leave before your due date so that you can finish work a bit earlier if that's what you want to do. And then obviously from your due date, maternity leave has to have started by then if you've watched my other videos. And then it ends after 52 weeks if you're having that whole year away. And then once maternity leave has finished, then you can use up your annual leave and your bank holidays. So depending on what your entitlements are, that's 6 weeks extra paid leave that you tack on to the end of maternity before you come back to work. And then if you think, well, I'm not ready to go back yet, and you're happy not to be paid for it, you know, you've got another 4 weeks you're entitled to ask for of unpaid leave to extend that time out a bit further. So what is the benefit to me? So when you consider all the other types of leave available to you, you can extend your 52 weeks by up to nearly 3 months if you work full time. Obviously depends on what holidays you normally get and what your company policy is, so always check. Now remember that your entitlement is based on your old working pattern. So if you worked full time before you went on maternity, all of these holidays accrue based on you working full time, even if you're going back part time after, because it's based on that time that's passed. Now, as with all this stuff, I always tell you, make sure you don't just sort of stick it in an email to your manager and walk away. Make sure you work with your payroll department, your HR department, the owner of the company, whoever it is that signs your paycheck every month. You don't want to just leave it with one person and then head off on maternity and not know, you know, if everything's sort of in order. Trust me, happened to me. I had to pay lots of my maternity pay back because it was all dealt with incorrectly. So I hope that's been helpful. Obviously, you can find out more of this sort of information in my book, which is available from Amazon. I'll put a link in the comments. And also, you can buy it directly from me via my Etsy shop. Now, don't forget about all the free bonus content. So on the website, you can download a free planner, which helps you sort of step by step work your way through all the information you need to get your maternity leave budget together. And then along with the planner, there is a very nice budget calculator, which you can download, save on your device, take away and fill it out at your leisure to help you come up with your maternity leave budget. So thanks for watching. Come back tomorrow for more tips and keep following me on the usual social media, as I've got quite big things happening in 2022. So thanks for watching and see you next time.